Hello and welcome to the episode of Flying High with Flutter. I'm your host, Allenwyma. Excuse me for my voice. I just recently caught COVID, so I should be over this pretty soon. But otherwise, I have my very special guest, Ahmet Enes Bayraktar. He is a software developer located in Turkey, right?
Yeah.
And he wrote an interesting package called Steamworks, which is how to put um, your Flutter application into the Steam store, which is quite interesting. Welcome, Enes. You told me to call you Enes, right? So, welcome to the show. Why don't you give a quick introduction about yourself?
I'm Ahmet Enes Bayraktar, as you said, and I'm a software developer, engineer, architect. Actually, I'm a problem solver because I worked a lot different industries throughout my career. And thanks for inviting me.
No, I'm very happy that we found somebody who is kind of doing stuff with gaming in the community. I haven't reached out to anybody from Flame, but why don't you talk a little bit about what's your background, right? So, how did you actually get started into programming?
I'm computer engineering graduate, so that's where I started. But before that, I'm actually a gamer, so I was always into the computers, and I went like, okay, my time is on the computer. What can I do? I can make computer programming. So I joined the university with that mind. After that, I actually started as an embedded developer and then moved to the backend full stack-ish development, and then switching back and forth with backend embedded stuff. I became software architect on the mostly web, and after that, as I said, I'm very lovingly playing computer games, so I always wanted to make a game. So in my free time, I always spend time with learning how to make games. So just recently, I retired and spent more time on how to make games, and that's where the Steamworks actually came up. I was working on Flame, and I always thought that okay, Flutter is mobile focused, but if people did their research, they will find that mobile gaming industry is actually requires a lot of money to make a name, because all these big guys invest a lot of money on the advertisement, and you cannot just compete. Like, you need to be very, 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 very lucky. So my mindset was always like, I should be making a desktop game, but I love Dart, the syntax, the Flutter, the easiness, but the desktop recently stabilized for mostly for Windows basically, and I just said, okay, I spend my time a lot of in Steam, and we have a game engine called Flame, and but how can I make a game in Flame on desktop and publish it? I need to have a Steam integration. So that's where it all started. How can I make a game in Flame and publish it on Steam?
Now, I'm kind of curious, right? Because you and I are both developers. Usually, we're writing applications for clients or your work or whatever.
Yeah.
Writing a game, in my understanding, I've done a little bit of playing around. It's like totally different type of programming because you have a lot of different
Tell
concerns,
me
right?
about it.
Well, you tell me about it. You're the guest, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you about it, but it would take a lot of time. Like, the titles in a game company, like a normal game company, is like 20 or more. Like, just the development side, like the game side, not the business side, the managing and stuff, HR and stuff. Just the game itself requires 20 or more titles, and there's a writing about article about it. If I can find, I can give it to you. But like the artist, 2D artists, the level designers, graphics designers, animation designers, these are all specialized, and they have their learning curve, so you can create good things out of them. But game, if you are a single person, like for example, you are a developer, if you are doing something on GitHub, you mostly work single. Like if your package is not that big, you are working as a single person in developing that. But being a game developer, like I'm gonna make this game, this platformer, this 2D game, this strategy game, it takes actually a lot of time. You need to find the assets, make the mechanics, find the engine, implement it, combine all of them. It requires a lot of time. Even the assets, for example, you find a tile. You are making a 2D platformer game. You find the tiles, but you need to find a character, and the characters and the tiles has to match. So you need to do a lot of research to make those things. You can make your own assets, but it requires you to learn art, and most of the engineers are not that good artists. Myself is really the sticky figures, even the hardest part for me. Like I can't draw that. This and then making animations from that, it's even harder. So as you said, the game industry, the mechanics of the game industry is very different and very big, huge, and you need to invest a lot of time on it. Actually, my advice to people who wants to make games, learn games, first start in a game company, learn how the flow is, and learn the things that come up, and learn the things that produce problems. Where are the flows get bottlenecked, and learn them, and then you can make a game by yourself, maybe. And the chance of that being a successful game also is very low. Although we have the examples, it requires a lot of time.
Besides that, like I forgot even about, like you said, the actual visuals, right? For me, I'm thinking about what you're looking for when you actually do game programming, because you're basically looking to be as fast as possible, because you have to basically redraw every frame, right? And that's kind of interesting because Flutter is really all about that. You have like in gaming, I think it's called a tick. I don't know if that's the industry term or some game engine term.
Frame.
A frame, yeah. But I thought what I'm talking about is like when I say tick, I mean
Animation
like
tick.
yeah, that is a frame, but yeah, that's also like what they call like every time like it needs to redraw everything, it's called a tick, I believe.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then it's where like everything has to be recalculated, and then like you say, okay, this is what it looks like at this frame.
Yeah, exactly.
And that tick doesn't actually have to. It's not going to consistently be 60 frames a second. It could be 59 point something, right? And then but then like you're going to get like this number that comes in, and you have to recalculate. Okay, now the frame is at this fraction instead of a traditional like 60 by 60, 60 1/60th. It could be different. It doesn't have to be 1/60. It depends on your computer speed, right? Your CPU clock, I think, and how powerful your game is taking up all your resources. And then you're like, okay, how should it look at this moment, right?
Yeah, actually, the recent game, not recent game, the old games like Wolfenstein and stuff, when you run them on your computer today, I'm not sure if they fixed it or not. The game is so fast you cannot understand it, because at that time no one thought that the CPU speed should be taken into account. So everyone is doing that. I should be using as much as resources as I can, because the game frames will drop. So they implemented in that way. But currently, the game engines actually take this into account, and they apply a delta time, how much time actually passed since 2 frames. So they make the calculations based on that. So it will get the same experience in every computer, but as a side note, the physics part is different. So you need to change the physics part. You need to think about the physics part as well, because physics works not like rendering. It should happen once and it should yield the result once, but you can render this same image multiple times and it won't change a lot of things. You can get some small artifacts and so on, but it won't break anything. But in physics world, if you break something in a physics engine, or if, for example, if someone hit you with a gun and you calculated that twice, then you died, basically. But you cannot have that. So the physics engine has to be precise, but the rendering does not have to be precise. There are a lot of techniques about that, but yeah, that's out of my scope as well. Like game engine people, like huge respect for them. They are doing a lot of mathematical, hackish wizarding things.
Actually, it's funny that you're talking about this stuff. There, even for games that people play, I think, have you played Serious Sam before?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So there's actually a bug within Serious Sam where it's like after you shoot like some crazy amount of bullets, it's like 1 million shots or something, then like your machine gun will actually slow down.
I
I don't know if you ever. There's a video on YouTube that talks about this. Sorry, it kind of came up in my mind, and it's actually a problem with how floats are. So like this guy actually broke down like, okay, what's going on and why is it like this, and then like because I think maybe you can see Serious Sam source code online. I'm not too sure, or
maybe
if
the
he
other
just
side could
reversed it.
be. Yeah.
Could be. But anyways, like what I wanted to say was like, yes, making a game engine is very difficult, very tricky. A lot of smart people do it. Even smart people who do it, like I said, this is this weird bug that happens after like 1 million shots or something crazy like that.
How do you test that? How do you find that?
Exactly. And here's the thing, like I don't remember how it's probably not 1 million, but it's definitely a ridiculous amount of shots from a machine gun. There's the weird part is that there's lots of people out there who just play video games and they purposely try to find weird bugs like this. And it's interesting, but not so useful. And maybe it doesn't happen a lot unless you're just blasting away.
Gamers actually like to tweak with the games. Like they play with the game and they tweak it. So how can, for example, the most efficient tactic available and stuff. They play with it so that they can find the unfindable, unfounded things. And so like maybe someone write a clicker on that 3SAM, put the hero on a place and shoot somewhere continuously and see what happens. Like gamers can do that just for fun. So it's not like normal apps. You have an app, you have click button. The things that you can do in an app, normal app, business app, is very limited. You can test all of those things. But the game is actually dynamically rendered, like continuously rendered, calculated every time. And sometimes you cannot know. Sometimes you cannot think, you cannot foresee that this could happen, or you make assumptions that no one will do this. For example, Flame uses Forgebox 2D, the Forge 2D package for the physics, and it has theoretical limits. Like, if I remember correctly, you can go as fast as 250 meters per second. I'm not sure about the number, but there's a theoretical limit that you can do that. Or the implementations, like you shouldn't put boxes on top of boxes in a way that the bottom box is the what is the English word for the reverse of the heavy light, and you shouldn't put the light box to the bottom because it becomes unstable. So when they implement a physics engine, there are all sorts of assumptions that they make, and if you break those assumptions, anything can happen. Undefined behavior.
Actually, so let's talk about maybe a little bit about what you were doing. So you were working mostly on applications, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you decided to take a break from working and then go to games. Is that what I understand?
Yeah, and not definitely. Like I'm pretty sure I will do this. It's not like that as a statement, but I'm searching for opportunities for switching to game development or related to something like rendering and animation stuff. Like it should be close to gaming. I don't want to work in the business environment currently.
Yeah, we also were talking a little bit about this, I think, before the show, which is like how did you actually get into learning this stuff? Because I know actually during the show, you just started talking about this like I mean because you're not working at a company right now, you're just doing stuff by yourself. Maybe because I think people at home maybe want to do the same thing, that maybe don't want to leave their job or cannot leave their job for whatever reason. If I wanted to study how to do games, like what was your path that you took?
Actually, it changes from people to people because people's needs differentiate. Like if you are looking after your family, your context is different than other people, so you have to adjust. But you can work part time, and or you can work at night. So for a long while, actually, I worked at nights. Like my work was 9 to 6, and I was giving 1 or 2 hours break and then working on my Steamworks package actually. In the Steamworks, most of the Steamworks package, the initial version, is done at nights. Like I solely focused on that, spent my nights with those because I wanted to see that thing work. I wanted to see a game, just a simple game that has a black box, only black screen, but I can enable the Steam overlay so that I know that my Steam package works. I spent a lot of time, like 3 months, I think, spent that time just to make that, understand how Steam works, how other libraries did that, how Dart works with the FFI and other stuff. But if you are committed, you can make it at night. But you can have other obligations. For example, you could have a family. In that case, you have to adjust your work time. So maybe you can work 2 days in a week or 3 days in a week, and the extra time you can spend on the thing you want to do actually. That's how it goes. You need to adjust.
Okay. But when you're talking about actually finding time to do it, but my question is more about like, should I learn how to make assets first? Should I learn about, like what was the learning path actually?
Actually, I still don't know anything about how to make visuals, so I'm not sure if you have ability or if you know how to draw basically, and you have tendency to do it, you can start with drawing as well. And if you have tendency to coding, you can actually start with coding as well. The point is actually with starting, like pick a game engine like Godot, Unity, Flame, Unreal. Unreal may be too hard to start, but Godot and Unity is very easy to start. Start with something. Use what you are good at. Like if you're good at drawing, draw something. There are tools like Asseprite to make pixel art. Blender, if you like 3D or advanced tools, you can do 2D in Blender as well. Just start with it. Just draw something. Just write some code that put a box there, move it like 1-2 pixels, and see how it goes. And the ideas come up, you learn, you search, and it goes and on and on. But the point is to start, and you should start with with using your strength actually. There is no single path, unfortunately. As we talk, there are a lot of aspects of the game, and you cannot master everything. So you should you should be specialized in one and learn how it goes. Then you can find other people. You can give money and buy assets, basically, or you can make your assets and hire people to make the coding for you. There are a lot of platforms like this, so it's actually find your strength and start with it and see where it goes.
Well, how did you start? What is your path?
I'm a coder, so I started with coding part. And when did I first start? Actually, it was way before Flutter. I started with Unity, and I find it very complex, the UI and stuff. I didn't like it, so I stopped it. I switched to Godot. And before Godot, I started with Flame. I was playing with Flame, and the Flame was I started using Flame with early versions, like it was 0 point something and pre one. And at that time, I was like, how people draw, how this thing works, how do you even draw something, and how do you even put something, how do you even move something, and you learn something, you add something, you play with it, with the parameters, with the assets, with the whatever you find basically. For example, the inputs, where you press space and you move the box up, and that's actually very satisfying to see. So you see yourself as, okay, if I continue like this, I'll add, and I'll learn. But as a comma and a separate thing, I'm actually a tools person. For example, I like doing Flame more than making games, because when I make for example, Steamworks package, I make a Steamworks package, and someone use it. The game is OmniChess, by the way. Someone make a game for it, using it. And I see that, okay, I did a package and someone used it, someone benefited from it. It makes me happy, actually. And if I make a game, I'm not sure if I get the same satisfaction because I never made, but knowing other people use it and make good things also very satisfactory for me. Maybe a game as well. Like if I make a game and people love it, I will feel the same feeling probably. But it's far hard to do that. So I select the simple one currently.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. I think that can resonate with a lot of people with your path, right? Kind of seems like you're a little bit more kind of playing around, right? Okay, if I do this,
Yeah.
you probably did a couple of tutorials though, right?
Of course, I'm not a video person. I cannot learn from videos. I get bored, or I just forward. But I did some. I did a lot of tutorials, like how do you even start a flame game? How do you adjust the screens? How do you, the small things? I dive in, try to make things I cannot make. So I search, and whatever I find, I try research, rinse and repeat, continue research.
Yeah, but you enjoy making tools a lot more, right? As you said.
Yeah, yes. Steamworks, one of them.
Now, actually, let's talk a little bit more about Steamworks, right? Because I mean, you're playing around with Flame, I suppose, and then what you thought, okay, I like to use Steam, but is there already a package for this? And then, or like, what was like, where'd you get the idea to actually start doing this package?
Flame Flutter is a mobile first packages platforms basically. So whatever you do, it's first thing in the view of the mobile. But as I said, the mobile platform is very hard to get into, make a name out of it, because you cannot put your game in front of people. Other companies like big mobile game companies, hyper casual games, they invest a lot of money on the advertisement. So most of the indie games target the Steam and itch.io and other stuff, and their platform mostly desktop. And since you cannot publish something to Steam currently on the Flutter because there are no integrations with it, you cannot publish something to Steam without its SDK integration with the SDK. You cannot publish it. And after the Windows stabilized and after I used the Flame for a while, I decided that it would be pretty nice to have a option to publish the game to Steam. Like I make a game at Steam, I can make it mobile, I can make it desktop. When I make it desktop, I need to set up myself. There are no platforms other than itch.io that is known to me at least. So, but Steam is the number one platform for the indie games because Steam helps you a lot about your product, so it will be known by other people. So I decided that there should be something that let me let my desktop application work on Steam, and the Flame game is the only engine known as a complete engine. For example, there's a bonfire, but it's on top of Flame, and the only engine that on Flutter is Flame. So I made a Steamworks library that actually works without Flame first. You can make any application on it without depending on Flame or whatever stuff, because Steam also publishes applications as well other than games. You can make it. But other than that, I also made an integration to the Flame so that you can directly just with literally 2 mixins on Dart, you just add it to the game and it works. And your game is ready to work with the Steam calls, APIs, asynchronous stuff that goes on. You can enable overlay in your game. It's very easy to actually set up currently. But the hard part is learning the Steam API. You need to go into the Steamworks page, read the API, learn how it works, how do you make requests, how do you send invites, how do you make matchmaking and stuff. I even still don't know most of it because I didn't make a game. But and the Dart APIs for the Steamworks is ready. And also that while doing this, I search a lot of alternatives, like how did other languages did this. For example, C# is the most known language for making games because of Unity, and how they make it, how they publish the Steamworks. And I found two libraries, and actually two of them make it in a different way. One is very Steamworks like the C++ library. One is very C# like, and other stuff that the implementer things he did. And I wanted to make a package that works on Steamworks, but in a Darty way, as much as possible. Like when someone sees it, oh, okay, I know this function. I resemble with this function, with the names, with the casings, with all other stuff that Dart provides, with the whatever you name it. I just make it as much as possible to make it in a Darty way. So that's the actually strongest side of the Steamworks. Other than providing API, it is actually in a very Darty way. So you know where to look, where to find, where to call. Everything in a separate file, everything in a normal casing in a Dart, every naming, even the capitalness of the text, like after the multiple text coming, multiple capital letters coming after and after. So you change it to the first is capital, letters not capital, and even I try to respect those, but I'm always open to suggestions. If people use and make any comments, I'll try to improve.
Yeah, I did see that your library was labeled as a Dart package, not necessarily a Flutter package, which is quite interesting.
You can also make, I don't know, maybe Steam server application. It doesn't require any UI.
Now, we didn't actually talk about your journey into Flutter, right? Did you use Flutter in your previous job, or you just kind of ran into it because of Flame, or how did you get into Flutter?
Actually, in one of my jobs, there was a mobile application to be made, and I said, "There's Flutter, let's try." And I started to try there, but that application never got published. And when I first see that how you make the widgets and the organization and stuff, like, and the syntax of Dart, like, okay, that should be it. Before that, even I made an application on Kotlin for Android, so I knew how to compare things, like what Kotlin has, what Dart has, and what other stuff has. And one of my friends also is a Swift user, and I was always talking about things like how this thing is done in Swift and stuff. And it just clicked with me, like literally. And I just said the Flutter is the future. I should spend time on it. It will come at a place, at a time, at some time that Flutter is just the norm of this thing. And I think it already became like that. It didn't take too long time. And currently, even Sony and stuff is investing in Flutter so that they can make application in their consoles, like a special version of. I think it's called embedder, to embed some Flutter's view onto some specific device. I'm not sure, but even Sony is working. Even embedded Linux people are also searching how to do it on the embedded Linux and stuff. That's why I think it's the future. It will slowly, maybe even fast, get there that Flutter is the real norm.
Yeah, we actually have an episode here from the Nerves team of somebody who actually wrote an embedder for embedded Nerves. This is quite interesting. Embedded Linux using like yeah. Anyways, he goes in depth about what he did and all that stuff. It's pretty cool stuff. Because yeah, like you said, there's some people doing that, and also everybody knows Toyota's doing that for their infotainment system. Okay, so you took a look at it. You said, okay, this is the future. Now, when did Flame come to your attention? Was it like when you're looking at Flutter, or just recently, or how'd you get into Flame?
Actually, I was thinking like, okay, Flutter has this whole environment and it's very fast, like FPS wise, it's top notch. So I said, why not make a game to the mobile platform and game engine like on Flutter? Like it should be very simple because Flutter provides the API for the render box and stuff that you can always calculate the frames and deltas and stuff. So I was thinking, okay, that makes sense. Maybe I can make a 2D game engine on Flutter. And while searching that, I just came up with Flame, and people already did what I was thinking, so that just hooked me up with Flame. And actually, I always wanted to make a physics-based game, like Box 2D and the Forge 2D, and I saw the early implementations of the Forge 2D ported from the Box 2D, and I said, okay, this is also happening. Like there is a game engine and there's a physics engine for that game engine. Okay, this should be it. I should stick with it. In time, it will get somewhere. And I think you should. I'm not sure if you talk with them, but invite Flame people because they are very friendly and they have a Discord and they are very helpful. They want to also make their names known. So very good community.
Yeah, actually, I would love to get Flame people on here. Do you actually keep in touch with them?
Yeah, I can.
If you can make an introduction, that'd be great because that's definitely on my list to get them on here.
Yeah, I'll send the word.
Thanks. But going back to the topic, right? So, Flutter 3 recently came out. Like, well, recent, I mean, it's hard to say what's recent in technology, 5 minutes ago, recent is, could be ages. But, I mean, they make a big push with gaming, right? Do you know, like, did that make a change in your thoughts, or was there something that actually really changed? Because, like, as an application developer myself, I haven't noticed a big difference.
No, I don't think. I think it's because of the Flame. Flame pushed too much about the gaming stuff, and after that, and the gaming industry is actually growing, and the mobile part of it is actually growing way more than the other parts. So it's the logical thing actually, and because there's a money and it's growing, and you are providing some new engine, and it's open source contributed and it's getting there and getting attention. So you should push to the game industry. And I don't think Flutter made. I don't know. Just to my knowledge, I don't think Flutter made anything new for the game stuff. Maybe some Google services to make games easier to integrate. But other than that, Flutter didn't change much. But the people started working on Flame more, like more contributions, more people are giving attention, more people giving help or using it so that it gets more. So the push with the tree of the game based on, I think, Flame.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Like it just seemed like when I read the announcement that they're really pushing into Flame, and I was a bit surprised because I knew about Flame. I knew there's two libraries. I think one is Flame. I think something's actually built on top of Flame.
Bonfire.
Yeah, Bonfire. That seems about right. So there was definitely some people doing it, but to me, like I never could really imagine how you could do it because I'm so used to. I mean, you and I have made applications before. Like, okay, you push a button, something happens, but I could never think about how do you keep state? How do you keep this stuff going? It just doesn't make sense to me. Maybe I have to play around and I'll have an idea about how the whole thing works.
Yeah, it just clicks. At start, it feels like, do I have to think every frame the state, like correct it, make it robust, stay the same every frame? But the implementations of it make it easier to manage that actually. Like you have a state and it doesn't interfere with your state as long if you don't want the render to affect your state. Basically.
Yeah, I'll have to play.
Just
I know
dive
that.
in and
Yeah,
you'll
just
see.
dive in. Pretty much, yeah. I did see somebody. There's a couple of videos on YouTube of people showing how to do it, but I watched one for sure. and I thought, okay, this is interesting. Not too bad, but I haven't gone back to it yet.
Yeah, actually, Flame has a lot of examples. Actually, you can play with those to see how it works.
Now, because yours is a pure Dart package, I mean, it works for everything, right? So if I somehow manage, I mean, Flame does work for all platforms, right?
Yeah, Flame works all platforms, but Steamworks cannot work on all platforms because of the Steam, because you don't have Steam on browser. But Linux, macOS, and the Windows, it's all support. Uh, there is nothing blockaded by Steamworks, but the Steam itself, because it doesn't exist on the other platforms.
Yeah, that's the one thing that really annoys me about Steam is like every good game I want to play, and I have a Mac, I cannot play unless I go into VMware or dual boot. So at least I can solve that issue.
Actually, it's the developer's responsibility to make that, not the Steam's. So
No, I know that. No way am I blaming Steam because I know Steam supports even Linux. I think actually no, they dropped support for Linux, didn't they?
no, actually, the Proton with the Proton stuff going on and Steam Deck stuff, Linux get a lot of get way better basically, and you can even there's a Proton DB site. You can check the game if the how the support is for that game, and you can see should I buy this game, or there are configurations you can change to make it better and stuff. People sharing on that site. So the Linux support is getting better and better every day, thanks to Steam because of the Proton.
Okay, because I could have sworn that Steam dropped Linux platform a couple of years ago, but maybe I remember wrong.
Steam Deck is on working on Linux. I think it's Arch.
Oh, that's good to hear. Okay, so yeah, so basically with your package, if I make a game with Flame, I can distribute it wherever, except for browser. But then browser, I mean, it's easy. Just show it up on, S3 or whatever.
The mine is actually you are making a game with Flame and you support every platform. And for specifically Windows, to you want to publish it to Steam, you can just put some platform Windows, use Steamworks and other stuff. You just get add extra with the Steamworks package basically.
Now, do you know how many people are approximately using this package in production? I mean, I did see at least one person said they're using it.
I just know one person actually. Um, I'm happy to hear other successful or failure stories as well, and I recommend people to use it and give feedback. There could be some bugs because I haven't made a game with it. There are just one example in the repository, but other than that, I'm not sure how many people are using it.
Now, that one guy who did use it, though, is he really happy with it? Like, did he make his life easier, or what kind of replies did you get?
Yeah, actually, he made a PR about it that shows that adds a showcase section to the README file. So I think he is happy because that package made it possible. I also asked him if you have any suggestions or feedbacks, or if you think there are bugs, that there are things that doesn't work. Please give a feedback so I can change it. But I received none, so I think everything's cool. And maybe in the future, with people using more and more, things will change.
Now, what's your next step, right? Are you going to continue on, like, learning Godot and playing around with Flame, or do you have another idea that you have for a tool that would be good for another game engine, or more on Flame or Steam, or what's your kind of next move?
Currently, actually, I'm working another tool. This tool was I was working on this tool before the Steamworks. Then I stopped for a while because I wasn't making games, and then after the Steamworks, I decided to jump back in again. The tool is there's a tiled editor, map editor that makes you 2D tile map. Basically, lets you make a tiled map, and you can make you can use animations in there. You can make maps in there. You can make there are terrain tools that lets you easily make a map and all that stuff. And there is actually a package that Flame has, a Flame tile that actually gives this support. But I find it very not complete enough, basically. And I wanted to expand it, enhance it in a way that it automatically creates the physical world as well. Like you have a static world on the tile that created on tile. There is a file that corresponds to it. Load that file and automatically create the static world on that file. And this package basically helps you do that. It automatically traces there's an object called in the tile, like automatically traces every object and connects them if they are one-to-one matching with the edges, and automatically traces the world and creates a static chain shape on the Forge 3D so that your world is automatically ready after you draw it there. And I'm actually currently working on this package, and this package actually consists of two packages. One is the parser of the file, and the other is the integration part with the Flame. And that's my current topic.
Okay. When will this be released?
Currently, there is already a version 0 point something and alpha states and working, but I am expanding it to support isometric drawing as well and stuff. And I'm not sure when will it end. And also, the TMX file format support both XML and JSON. And I'm currently supporting on XML. I am also planning to implement JSON support. And after those stuff, the tiled integration is actually almost ready. There are things that can be added as a feature, new features, like if you can make assumptions like if I do this on the tiled side, and this should be automatically converted to the Flame side. Those assumptions can be made, but I don't want to make those assumptions by myself. Because I'm not experienced enough in the gaming world so that I can make, okay, people probably use this like this. So I will stop at some point that the word generation automatically create, pulling the tiles and sets and drawing stuff, the static world, and then after if people start using it and if they come up with the ideas, I'll implement that.
Okay, sounds good. I think we're approaching the end of our time over here. I have another meeting after this. Is there anything else that you want to let people know about, maybe how to follow you or anything else you wanted to say before we sign off?
You can follow me on GitHub. And other than that, I use Twitter some time, but I don't have social media too much, and Reddit as well. And the name is AEB-DEF. Other than that, please, if you are curious about Steamworks, use it. I want to see Flutter and Flame be known engine for the Steam games.
Well, thanks for coming on, and I'm really appreciative that you're working these kind of packages, because without people like you working on these kind of things, even tooling, it's very important. People always forget about the tooling, but that's actually what makes Flutter great, is the great tooling we have and all the packages we have. So really appreciate that. Thanks for the help, and I'm happy you're working on the tool. So looking forward to all these things coming out.
Thank you as well. See you, everyone.